From the screen right now, we do have the fire department, that is from Nairobi County. And it is reportedly, as the information comes to hand right now, that scores of people are feared dead in Mradi village, Embakasi, in Nairobi, after a gas plant exploded minutes to midnight on Thursday, plunging the city into panic. Many more are reported to have sustained life-threatening injuries. And about 2 hours after the multiple explosion that sent flames and smoke billowing into the sky, emergency services, including firefighters, of course, they came there bang on time. And it says that huge explosions, huge fireballs, people screaming and running every which way for fear of more explosions, power cut, some people driving out of the estate. We can hear siren now. The fire is in a warehouse next to an estate called Skyland, and an informal settlement that is Muradi. This is according to an eyewitness who spoke to, of course, the media and the reporters there. And we have Francis Odi, who's on the ground right now, to also just give us the latest so far, what is happening. As we can see, Francis, good morning, and thank you for, of course, staying up at night, braving the cold to make sure that we get the latest information. What do you know so far?
Good morning, Dibal. Indeed, it's a sad morning as people and the residents of this area woke up to a deadly fire that has raised several structures in this area. And as we speak right now, we are at the go down where a cylinder was thrown from the main site where the explosion took place to this go down where it is around 200 meters away from the main location where the cylinders explode. As we speak right now, many have been injured. Many have been taken to different locations within Nairobi hospitals, and with all the sectors of security are here as they try to at least make sure that they counter the current fire that is raising this go down. Later on, we were here in the middle of the night at around 1 a.m. where we witnessed different confusion within this area. And the police were already here, the G4S were already here, and the fatalities and those injured, so far as we speak, Dibal, the number is still going up. Many of the residents within this area called Mradi are still being treated within different hospitals. And what I may say right now is that efforts to try and bring down the fire that is raising this current go down are still underway. Different water lorries are here, cannons are here, GSU is here. We can see the army is also here. The G4S and the Nairobi County government are all here trying to coordinate with one common goal of trying to bring down the fire that is raising this area. I must say the two areas that this fire has been taking place is the first one is down 200 meters away from where I am right now. The cylinder was thrown all the way. It came and hit a wall, and directly it was inside a go down where this is a go down where the polythene bags and clothes have been stored here. And as we speak right now, water cannons from the GSU are still sitting in to try and bring down the fire that is going on. We are waiting for Adamson Bungei to come and address us officially, but he had already talked to KTN with the numbers, but as we speak right now, from that time, that is 1 a.m. in the morning up to now, he hasn't also talked, but we are still hoping that as he comes, he will give us the exact numbers of people who are dead, the people who have been taken to different hospitals, within Nairobi. But we have information that different hospitals within Nairobi, that is Mama Lucy, Kibaki, Embakasi, we have Mbagathi Hospital, Kenyatta Referral. All these hospitals are busy right now trying to contain the numbers of people who are being taken there with injuries and burns. We have also talked to different residents within this area that they witnessed firsthand on what really happened, and we have gotten different versions. But again, as we speak, Jamal, we are here to try and just witness and see if indeed the fire that has been on from 1 a.m. up to now, as we speak, it is still on, will be brought down. But again, I must say it is a place where it is risky, where buildings have been broken here, and the water that is here, that is being used, also the pressure, buildings are weaker here. So we are trying to at least take cover as we go on air within this area where the fire is still on.
Right, and we're given to understand we had the government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura, also weighing on this particular issue that occurred at this particular premise that we can hear Otis Francis giving us information from. We'll try and also reach out to the government spokesperson momentarily to just also get his sentiment. This, as you're watching it right now, is a gas filling company near Kabansora in Embakasi, Nairobi County, and this is where the explosion happened just a few hours in getting into the witching hours of the night, as we've just heard from our reporter Odi Francis there. Odi Francis, just momentarily, you spoke about the police commandant that he will be giving a brief. We're given to understand as well, maybe is also a briefing the upper reaches of government right now. Is that true?
So far, we are still on hold. We've been told to wait for the Nairobi commandant, that is
Odi Francis, with some also technical challenges but at least we've gotten the scope of the information that we need, and he's of course been bearing the brunt overnight together with the other multi-agency team that is comprising of Nairobi County Fire Brigade and the National Police Service, Kenya Red Cross as well, and the E-Plus ambulance, who are leading the efforts to combat the fire. As you can see, devastation there. This was an explosion, and you can see some of the gas cylinders there, embers of the charred, of course, wreckage within the gas plant there. And I just want to have with me my panelists who were set for the show this morning, but they're waking up to this somber news as well. And 2 people so far have died. And if maybe you're working around that area, you want to also be cautious a bit, because I know there can be a bit of inconvenience this morning, so that as they try to access, and many multi-agencies, as I've mentioned, are here, there are bound to be a bit of interruption with traffic. This is the latest we're waking up to, and by the way, also we have critical people who have sustained serious injuries, and we have our reporters on the ground at the Kenyatta National Hospital, and also Mama Lucy. We'll try also and hear from Mikey Hacker as well, and the Chief Officer of Disaster Management within Nairobi County, that is Abwana Abramwell. But let me just hear from our panelists this morning. I'm holding court, and I've created first time with Dr. Martin Law, who is an advocate of a high court. Also, we have Kipruto Arapkirwa, who is a governance and policy analyst. We have also with us Professor Fred Ogola. Fred Ogola is an economist. We'll be joined momentarily as well by Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, who is the party leader of Green Action Party, Green Action Thinking Party. Good morning, gentlemen. Right. And maybe if we could just have the pictures back so that at least my panelists can also be following that as we just speak over the pictures. Let's just hear from here. We hear from you, Dr. Martin Olo Sumba. This one, if I may just set the conversation, also takes us back to, was it 2008 there, 2007, when we had the Nakumat saga at the city center. It was due to a gas explosion, and I think also the government came up with some regulations regarding how the gas cylinders are handled in this country. But this was a gas plant, so these things sometimes they do happen. Very unfortunate. Good morning.
Morning, Dibal, and thank you for having me here. I think the most important thing that we should be looking at is to say any life that we lose as Kenyans is regrettable, and therefore we must pass our condolences to the families of those who have lost their lives. We wish to ask that God helps those who are critical to recover quickly, and also to pray that those in government also get the wisdom to intervene in a manner that is effective and also fairly long-lasting. Because these incidences of fire, I think this week alone, we have seen 2 incidences of fire. I mean, apart from this one, there was the Mudhurwa one. And so what we are also seeing is to say, look, unless we prepare ourselves for these kinds of emergencies, unless we also take care of our various industrial, manufacturing or productive activities, they are going to endanger life. It is enough to have a warning that a gas plant is one that is prone, or one that can easily be a danger to the neighboring, a danger to the citizens living around you. So, in the first instance, therefore, if you're in this business, precaution, also the siting of these kinds of industrial activities ought to be in places that are actually fairly distant from crowds. Now, what you have seen here in Embakasi and what you saw the other day in Mudhurwa are symptomatic of fairly, dense, accidents like this happening in dense populations, and with it, disastrous consequences. So basically what we should be saying is, look, we need to learn from this. Accidents do happen, no doubt about it, you can't blame anybody. But there are precautions, both in terms of professional engineering, in terms of construction, in terms of environmental. There are precautions that we need to take and enforce so that we do not have these kinds of disasters. And when they do, the damage or the effect should be minimal. So that's really what we should be praying for. Wisdom and the right action from our those who enforce decisions and those who make decisions.
Indeed. Yeah. Industrial area, just the moniker or the name itself, gives you that idea that this is a preserve for just, industrial actions that are happening or activities so far. But, well, in the environment that we live in, we have also to have workers who are near the industrial place. But does this also just give room for maybe a review of legislations, especially in light of what is happening currently? Because if it's a gas explosion, truly, and we have 160, this number is ticking up, and in critical condition. So far, 2 people have succumbed, and we don't know what will be happening later in the day as we try and put tails on this particular story. Want to hear from you, Kipruto Rapkiro. Good morning.
Yeah, Ndibal, first of all, let me join my good friend, Dr. Martin Olo, in condoning with the families who have lost their loved ones. At the same time, wish fast recovery for those who are already hospitalized. Nonetheless, we know towns develop, and as they develop, certain areas which were seen to be far from human habitation and the city center get closer to us. Industrial area where Nairobi was what it was about 50 years ago was a bit far from a lot of congested residential places. More so given the fact that issues of settlement has given intense pressure to the population of Nairobi, such that people look for just humble abode, even in areas which are seen to be dangerous. I remember there were some other people who were living literally on the line that is supposed to be passing fuel through the normal pipeline. And those are some of the dangerous issues. So what we need to do is possibly to seek the wisdom of those who are responsible for certain regulations, so that when we are talking of environmental impact assessment, one of the issues is to see when you are locating an industrial plant, you allow it to be in a place where, as much as possible, we reduce damage when such things occur. And finally, really, I can see it has been a very coordinated effort from the claims that I've been able to see.
Indeed.
Yeah, by multifaceted agencies. That, to me, is something that we need to take home and applaud those who are involved in trying to safeguard the lives of the people.
Indeed, indeed. All right, let's hear from Professor Alfredo Gola.
Yeah, thank you very much, Debal. I also want to take this chance to condole really with the family and even the friends who have lost their relatives and friends, and also, of course, with those who have got injuries, that maybe they can get quick recovery from those hospitals. Remember, the healthcare system in Kenya is facing a lot of challenges at the moment, because remember, in those low urban areas, when those people get accidents like that, some of them don't have medical insurance. Healthcare is very expensive. Remember, those families really need help. So I'll call upon the government to come in handy and maybe foot the bills of those people. You know, it's also livelihoods lost there. When you get burnt and you are in hospital for long, who will fed for you? I've seen this very difficult situation. The other time I was in Kibera, there's a family in Kibera that fell into this river called the Kogalo Bridge. The family, there's a child who fell in the water. Now it is over 30 days. The child has not been found. I'm still hearing that they are still writing letters to each other. So I think the response time, if you leave alone the issue of the incidents here, I think that these incidents also do happen in developed countries, but we see better response time. And I can tell you, Senior Kirwa, if there's an incident, they tell you that they should be writing a letter to, I don't know to which office, and there's disaster management. The bureaucracy in the process of helping such an emergency is really serious. This is, you know, every Kenyan, according to the Constitution of Kenya, we have some rights there. And also they say accidents like this should be treated freely. I remember, if you own a hospital just nearby such a place, when you have those, own a hospital too, when you have such like people, when they rush to hospital, you should not ask about a medical bill. But later, the government should be paying this, because hospitals cannot be prepared to take care of such emergency because it's very costly. So I see 4 issues that actually we have to look at. One is city planning and urban policy, which is, for me, is what should be looked at. Every city need to be planned, and there should be urban policy for this. You know, this where maybe you'd like to know, Kiro, I have a degree in city planning and urban policy, so I can understand how it should be done. But even Nairobi was well planned, only that the implementation of that plan has not been done. Nairobi plan has been there for long. Then also there's need to look for responsibility among the agencies. For example, when I was living in Barcelona, if there's a fire, and everyone is located in several places where they should respond to fire, turnaround time was given maximum 10 minutes. If you do not respond in 10 minutes, you bear the consequences. But you see, in Kenya, you can get away with anything. So we must be a decent country where, if you're in charge of that, I see, for example, these guys put the fire brigades standing in locations. So we want to check what was the response time. Maybe our report on the ground may actually be able to tell you that about. Then, of course, corruption is very key here. That's why you can find that even if you do city planning, urban policy, corruption pervades all these things. So long as corruption is there and people have money, they'll manipulate each and every one. And I really think that we have to come with serious enforcement mechanism so that we can actually end up ensuring that all these plans we put in place. Do you know, in Kenya and if you like Nairobi, everything has been put on paper. What remains is put on the ground. And I think that that's where maybe we have this incident as calls upon a time for us to review these things, see how the county government works with the national government, with the healthcare system, with all the agencies. The issue is the coordination among all this that needs to be done. I'm sure maybe this falls under CS Kindiki, the issue of interior and coordination. This is why it should be done.
All right, and this follows some spate of fire. Of course, breakouts. One was also in Kitengela, I think on Tuesday. And we had an investor who also was left with a 20 million loss. We have also another one that just we reported of Juakali, just here, where also there was devastation, of course, of informal sector there, people who were adversely affected, people, also 15 people who also suffered some panic attack after we had an incident in St. John's Girls in Kilifi. These things are bound to happen. But as you mentioned, maybe it's a high time that we try and look at our city, Nairobi City Master Plan, on city planning. When was the last time that, the spatial review of a city was done, so that we can see these emergence and the rural-urban migration, so to speak. And Nairobi, we have around 6 million people. We cannot really contain. That's why we have all of these building codes, which now are being broken. We have skyscrapers, all 10, 12, 15-story buildings, every which way. In terms of just amenities of the cities being affected, the sewers, the water itself is a huge problem. We have people right now digging or maybe sinking some boreholes, lots and lots of boreholes, which also is very critical to sustainability of just, is it the water table of the country, of the city itself, and even now the structure, integrity of the buildings, the foundations now, if you have all these balls everywhere, I don't know how regulated they are. That also is a big worry. I think that should be smacked up in the middle of the Green Thinking Action Party. Dr. Isaac Kalogulusi, good morning.
True. And before you say something,
you want to jump in?
Add on to that, the issues of climate change. He talked about Barcelona this morning. Barcelona are crying. They have a water crisis. So there are things that we can talk about. But he says he's a city planner. The planning is not our problem. Our problem is to put things into effect and to do it properly. Welcome.
Right.
Dr. Kalua.
Thank you. And
maybe just I should prime our viewers before you go on, for them that are waking up to and they're wondering what's happening in Embakasi blast, maybe to just give them a snippet of what is happening this morning. You're waking up to, excuse me, the pictures which are coming to you live from Embakasi. This is a Kasanbora gas plant there where there was an explosion earlier in the night, and so far we have 2 people who have been reported dead. Excuse me, allow me to just clear my flames as well. And we have also casualties in Mama Lucy Hospital. Also, we have casualties in Komarok Medical Facility, Kenyatta National Hospital. They are in critical condition as we speak. Multi-agency team comprising of the Nairobi County Fire Brigade and the National Police Service, Kenya Red Cross, whom we'll be speaking to momentarily, also to just prime us and give us fresh details of what is the latest development. Also, the E-Plus ambulances are leading the efforts to combat the fire. We showed you earlier the pictures were there. You could see how the huge plume of smoke was just billowing to the sky. This should be also a precautionary of course, picture to residents around there, especially for the respiratory diseases, or maybe they can be affected by that as well. The plume of smoke can sometimes affect many people who are asthmatic as well. So residents living near the scene, as it's being reported, are reported to have experienced tremor-like reactions immediately after the explosion. It just goes to tell you what was really happening before the explosion. There was sort of an earth tremor. You can just feel the magnitude of that particular explosion if there was a tremor. Dr. Isaac Kalua just mentioned something that we'll be reporting to a reporter briefly.
Thank you. I pray that God comforts the families that have lost their dear ones and continue to deal and support those who are in hospital at this painful moment, because I'm sure He's a God who is careful to help His people. And therefore we pray that they are well and that our country will find peace at such a time like this. This fire comes in at a time when we have a lot of pain in different areas. You're talking of water. Do you know that there are Kenyans who are buying water today in this city of Nairobi between 70 and 90 shillings for a 20-liter can? You can imagine how much waste is not collected. And you can imagine the pain that goes with all these things. And it all goes and boils down to what we need to deal with. And I agree with my colleagues on the fact that we need to have a proper building code that works, and continuous inspection of structures and systems that are supposed to protect this kind of challenges that we have. We need to have a lot of training that people understand what needs to be done when fire like this erupts, and many other things that we ought to be doing. Yes, indeed, I agree that corruption is at the heart of it when you look at all the things that we are supposed to be doing, and the lack of seriousness in dealing with issues. I have umpteenth times reported a matter of gas cylinders at the entrance of Crossroads in Karen, Nairobi. As you enter, what you find is fire, the gas cylinders. How more risky can this be? You are getting into a mall, and what you find is gas cylinders. There must be something absolutely wrong in terms of planning. This needs to be moved. I have reported this many times, and you can see it is disaster waiting to happen. And imagine how many people get into that small place, and there is no sufficient parking, and there is so much, yet it can be replaced or placed in a different area. How many such buildings do we have? Wrongly placed, wrongly planned, and lack of concern of the people. The extinguishers that we are supposed to be having, some of them, they are placed there because there is a requirement by law. People are not trained how to use them.
Indeed.
You will find that small things that we needed to have done at the right time is what ends up being so serious and so huge that affects lives of people. What is it that we can be able to do as a society to understand this? What are the requirements that we need to deal with? Because we are dealing with lives. What is this that is bringing people to the city? Why is our country position 126 most corrupt countries in the world out of 180? We are going lower. Is it that we are not dealing well in matters of following up issues of corruption, that the judicial service and the judiciary generally is not supported to ensure that matters that are brought forth are dealt with immediately so that people can feel the pain and the punitive action for inaction? What is this that we need to do as a society? It reaches to a point that we need to now look back and start thinking, what is it that I am not doing? Because we are pointing it out to other people. We are pointing it out to the government as if we are not part of the government. And it is inaction at different levels that we really need to deal with. We are a country that needs to be serious, and seriousness starts from our own levels, at the family level, in this institution, wherever we speak and do anything, so that we are careful to know that we are dealing with lives of people.
Indeed.
It is our responsibility.
Indeed. And of course, when we circle back to the panel discussion, before I cross over to Anthony Bashiri, who is from Kenya Red Cross, and we thank him for also the salutary efforts that they are trying to put right now. The fire, as we can see it, a multi-agency team as I've mentioned earlier, comprising of Nairobi County Fire Brigade and the National Police Service, also Kenya Red Cross and E-Plus ambulances are leading the efforts in trying to make sure that they are snuffing out the fire. As you can see, devastation there. This is in Kabadsora. We haven't been told the name of the company, and what really happened is this fire exploded while they were refilling the gas cylinder. We just want to get information on the updates of casualties, and so far with the rescue efforts also trying to make sure that people who, I don't know if they have accounted for all the numbers, they were able to assemble at the fire assembly points as well. But let's cross over to Anthony from Kenya Red Cross to just give us more information. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning to you. Thank you so much. And we are just putting details and keeping our eyes peeled on what is happening currently. But we just want to hear from you to just give us fresh details as information is coming to hand as well to you on what is the latest, especially regarding the casualties. So far, we know 100, or that number is taking up to more from that particular figure that we were given earlier. What do you know so far?
Thank you. We are on site. We've reported 271 patients taken to different hospitals or showing up at different hospitals in Nairobi City. Most of the patients have taken themselves to these different hospitals. And the team here from Kenya Red Cross has been attending to soft tissue injuries and any person who shows up at our ambulances on site. And we've been able to attend to more than 27 moving forward. Others have already been dispatched. We were able to send over 27 patients to different hospitals.
All right. Are we aware, because I'm given to understand they're in critical condition, and we pray that none of those numbers that you've just mentioned also succumbed so far. But have you been able to identify what number are in critical conditions? Maybe some of them have really stabilized. You can also just give us a clear picture.
We don't have details in terms of critical levels. This would have been assigned at the hospital. So from the ground, what I have is that we have this number of patients that we've taken to these different hospitals.
So the source of the fire is not known yet. Has that been established, or that is not within your province as well?
The source of fire has been trickled down to an explosion of a tanker, a gas tanker.
It was a gas tanker, right. Thank you, Anthony Mushiri, just giving us information as it's coming to him as well. As you've heard, those numbers, they've crossed over now to 271, the casualties that are in hospitals. And we have our reporters also who are dotted in these different hospitals, Kenyatta National Hospital, Mama Lucy, and Komarok Medical Facility, and we shall also be hearing from them to give us fresh details of what is happening, as you saw from that particular picture. And we're having just discussion with our panelists. Of course, this was not the topic of the day, but now we give it much premium and concern, and it's, of course, a latent concern for many Kenyans as well. We had even the government spokesperson weighing in on this. We'll try and follow up with Isaac Maura much later in the course of the program. But the question will be, especially if we try and look at that facility, Professor Ogola, if you may also just weigh in and be here with us. The question will be, in terms of putting out even those, the sprinklers, in case that you have an explosion, like leave alone just the fire extinguishers, the sprinklers, you'll expect the government authorities or the people concerned when it comes to occupational safety and health administration, that we frequent these facilities, especially in the industrial area. Are they really up to scratch in making sure that the remediate measures actually are there? In case of a breakout like this, you have fire sprinklers, you have a different, of course, fire extinguishers that are appropriate, especially when it comes to gas explosion. So this, we had as I mentioned earlier, if you may just remember what happened in Kisumu, not in Kisumu, but at the city center. I'm thinking about Mheshimiwa or Professor, and I'm talking about Kisumu because he was in Kisumu, where we had the explosion at the Nakumatt's supermarket. And that was due to the storage of the gas cylinders there, where people were buying gas cylinders from the supermarket. And I think we had regulations now, they have to be stashed outside, not within the premise of course, those facilities. Kipruto, occupation safety and healthy, how should we up the ante?
Well, possibly we may not actually ascribe all the conditions that we need to make it safe for us to go to various places. I know even in some of the petrol stations, you'll find the cylinders are properly strategically placed, but you'll find people almost getting closer to that place, and some of them almost smoking or on their telephone calls, which also poses a bit of danger. But at times also, it is also good, we've been discussing as if all these investors are innocent. At times it's good to have the other twist, that because of either downsizing, challenges of the economy, some of the individuals may be instigating the fire for purposes of being paid by the insurance. So it would be useful for those who are dealing with these issues to do serious forensic audit, to make sure that there's no mischief, because this mischief is costing our people lives, because those who are in hospital, those who have died, are people who are totally innocent, I suppose. But some of the investors are not as innocent as that. Some of the investors may just want to make a kill, get paid by the insurance, and they relocate out of the country, or they move to another business.
Right.
That's my worry.
As you can see those pictures there, scars, when you have such a facility, what will be the appropriate, even gear? Some of this, what do we call maybe when you have, is it the aprons or the coveralls that are sometimes fire resistant? They could come in handy in trying to at least making sure some of these people are not really adversely affected, or the degrees of the burns are not as severe, so to speak. Martin Olo.
Safety is an important component of any industrial or any employment or any productive sector action. So safety of workers, safety of materials, raw materials, safety of the environment, and so on. Those are issues that we really need to invest in. But Dibal and my colleagues, what we are not saying here is the connection between, say, emergency disaster, because that will happen. But how do we connect that to treatment and so on? Now you're being told here that the majority of these people in critical conditions have been taken to Mama Lucy Hospital. Now I don't know whether there's anyone of us here who has ever visited Mama Lucy Hospital. Mama Lucy Hospital is one of the most stretched facilities in this town. Stretched. It is a facility that is seated within a very dense population. So quite often there is no space. Whether this is no more deliveries or no more medical challenges, there's no space. So what you would be seeing now is even more of a disaster. That the people who are critical are not even receiving the kind of medical attention they should be receiving at immediately at this point. Now that to me is our disaster. That there is a way in which our problems are linked right from our lack of preparedness, our inability to enforce safety mechanisms, and generally hospitals and other facilities that are not working, are not responding, or are not even capable of responding, in part because they are overstretched, in part because they are congested, in part because they are neglected. So that to me is our disaster. There is one thing to have this explosion, but it's totally another thing to have people who are critical and who are injured, who require medical services, who will not certainly be getting the kind of medical services that they require. And so these are, to me, the real issues. So we can plan, we can talk, we can mean well when we talk about green and so on, but again, how do we put this into action? My problem is that ours is a situation where it appears we are never ready, not even for we are not ready for the rains, because when they come, we die. We are not ready for the sun, because when it comes, instead of us harvesting solar and harvesting whatever, we have droughts and we cry and so on. So really, it's a question of, are we able to tap even that we have in plenty? For example, if we have the sun in plenty, how do we tap it and make it beneficial to us? If we have water in plenty, how do we tap and make it useful to us? But also, if we have industrial entrepreneurs and ability to be able to make money because we can piece together things, how do we ensure that it is for the benefit of Kenyans? It is for the welfare of Kenyans, not to their detriment, not to their harm. I mean, do no harm principle is something that we should be chasing. When I buy a matatu and I put it in business, what is my intention? To make money and to serve humanity, or to sacrifice human life and to just visit disaster to a country? And that can be said of a number of other initiatives we have. We had the Solai Dam and so on.
The Solai tragedy, the compensation thereof as well.
We've never resolved it. So we do have experiences that we do not seem to learn from. We do not seem to prepare ourselves to overcome those problems. And so I don't know whether it's the Green Party we are lacking or the Solomonic wisdom we are lacking. Because I can't go to Mheshimiwa Kirwa here because he's been part of the problems for a while. Now we are looking
He's been part of the problem.
He's been around for so long. So maybe these brothers of ours have the solutions.
I keep insisting that it is responsibility at the individual level that will change our country. It is fine, it is okay to have right policies, which some of them we need to revisit because there is a big challenge. Policy, because settlements like the one that has just been affected need to have proper access, need to have water, need to have approach to how people are living, and in case of any danger, how they can be dealt with, including housing, which needs to be properly done. These are things that can be done. But it is something extraordinary to inform people, to educate them on what is needed. So assume, and there's no one who wants this kind of a disaster, but assume that it is a truck that exploded. Where was it parked? Are there no regulations of how a truck can be parked, when, where, what time it needs to move, how it is parked? No smoking policy around that place. The side of the road, is it properly done in a way that the vehicle can be kept in a place where there can be no danger? These are things that are either in the policies of how management of all this. Who will park the car or the truck in the wrong place? Is it not a driver? Is it not a driver who may be stopping over to deliver something, or is supposed to have an issue with a relative? They are stopping there, they can see someone smoking around, and this person is not informed. Assume that it is a glass cylinder that was somewhere. Is the area protected in a manner that it is safe for people and that it is away from interaction with the human beings? I keep talking about the crossroads tanks. I mean, if a car just swerves and gets into the tanks, it's disaster. Why would we wait for this? So it is personal responsibility. It is the officers who have been placed to ensure that when they go out to check on the safety, health and safety issues, that the place is safe, which is the fire point that people congregate when this kind of a thing happens? What are the systems nowadays?
What are the fire drills in case of this explosion?
When
was it last
there
done?
There are smoke detectors that are supposed to help this kind of a situation. There are cameras that people are supposed to respond to in case there is such a danger. All these things, we talk about them, unfortunately, when they have already happened. Yet we need to be proactive and everybody taking responsibility of what they need to deal with at the right time. And unless we do this in the best way, unless we take responsibility, we will be a problem waiting to happen. And this is one of the things now that my brother and good professor and party member of the most progressive institution says that we need the Green Thinking Action Party. It is for real. This is jokes aside. It is not politics as usual. It is putting value where it belongs. Mm-hmm. You should see our party members in that area, what they did. I first received a phone call at around 2 a.m. and they are saying that here we are trying to do this. Can you communicate in the right place so that we can be assisted? Our people are trying. There are about 12 people who are working to put people together. That proactiveness, instead of making noise in the public, that this is what it is about, the people. What are you doing to make sure that there is all this? But look at the arrangement that was done by the multi-agency. One of the best responses. The truck that is putting out the fire is synonymous with riots in the city. And now it's doing a very good job. Imagine that power that they normally release on people until you fly. Now imagine if that was not there, the water cannon. It was doing the right thing. The Red Cross, they were there in time. The people, you can imagine the screams. One of my friends, his name is Mololo, he called me in the morning to tell me there is a problem here. What is it that we can be able to do? Get people. You know, that response, Ubuntu, is what we need in our country so that we can really progress. Otherwise, we will keep pointing fingers after fingers at each other and head nowhere as a country. So we need to take responsibility. How many people do you think have firefighters in their homes and in their premises that are not tested because someone was given some money not to do it? It's okay. Hii ni maneno ya sheria. We are going to deal with it. You know, it's personal responsibility. And I keep pushing this because it's not about the policing, it's not about regulations. It is me taking care of you, Debal, and my colleagues. When we come here, we are supposed to be safe, we are supposed to be kind to each other. Unless we take that approach.
Right, indeed. And of course, you've mentioned the issue of housing. This is where the government will tell you we critically need the houses right now, given the informal sectors and how life can also in danger. As you can see, the flames, they are billowing into the sky. This is so scary that it was earlier in the witching hours of the night. So far, as I've mentioned, 2 people have been confirmed dead, and we have scores critically injured. The number is ticking up from above 276, as we had earlier from the Red Cross official there, Anthony Mushiri. And also, you're being advised by the government spokesperson, that is Isaac Mora, that members of the public to avoid the area as rescue operations are still underway. And the multi-agency team comprising of the Nairobi County Fire Brigade, as we saw them working really being under the fire, as they normally say, or under the gun, and the National Police Service, Kenya Red Cross and E-Plus ambulances, Kenya are leading the efforts to combat the fire. We are praying for the people who are in critical conditions in these various hospitals, that is Kenyatta National Hospital. Also, we are keeping our eyes peeled on what is happening also at Mama Lucy Hospital. So far, our reporters are on the ground, and also on Comrock Medical Facility, where some of these victims have been also hospitalized at the moment. We want to take a short break. When we come back, of course, we shall be following what is happening there, but we want to also continue with the stories of the day, looking at the papers. We've not done that for you. so that you get an inkling of what is really happening currently as far as also the IBC is concerned, as far as the latest petition that we had. Some